Hi, I'm Dr. Jack Bourla, retired chiropractor and currently serving as the president of Sherman College of Chiropractic in Spartanburg, South Carolina. You know, we oftentimes hear stories about people going to chiropractors and having their headaches taken care of, or indigestion or sciatica and back pain, and that's really great. But I'd like to tell you a story which is very, very near and dear to me. It involves my son and his birth. My wife, who's an actual rocket scientist, was pregnant with our son and was attending the International Space University in Strasbourg, France. And we would speak every night about life and how things were going. And one day she said to me, "I'd really like to have a home birth." And I said, "Terrific, let's do this. We'll independently research midwives in our areas, compare notes, and we'll see what happens." So the next night we spoke. Sure enough, as life would have it, we picked the same midwife, which was awesome. When she returned back to the States, we attended classes on Wednesday nights and all day Saturdays with other couples, and we learned what a home birth was going to look like. Our son, Evan, was due on August 11th, and on July 30th, we were at the veterinarian's with one of our dogs and her water broke. We immediately called the midwife. The midwife told us to go home and do all the things that she told us to do and taught us how to do, which was great. She was busy with another pregnancy, another labor, so it was about 5:30 at nighttime, and we went home. And my wife's moans were getting louder, intervals were getting shorter. I was starting to panic, because that's what guys do. And we did all the things that we had to do. Finally, about 9:30, Rosanna shows up with her team of midwives, and she takes over. She examined my wife and said, "You know what? She's fully dilated. This baby really should come." So we did all the things that we were taught to do, the stretching, the walking, all the things. And she again examined her and said, "We need to call an ambulance because our son Evan had passed his first bowel movement, meconium, which if it gets aspirated into your lungs can cause irreparable damage." So we called the ambulance, we transported to the emergency room. Fortunately for us, in the emergency room was a midwife, so our midwife exchanged information with their midwife, and she said to me, the ER midwife, "We're gonna have to do an examination." I said, "Please do." She did the examination, and she said, "Aaron is fully dilated, this baby should really come." She said, "We have to monitor the baby." So they put this electrode on Evan's scalp, and she said to me, "Your son's in great danger. He's not doing well. We need to call an emergency pediatrician," which they did. And as she did her work, in comes the emergency pediatrician. And apparently what happened was part of my wife's cervix was caught on Evan's forehead. So every time she pushed, this was going on. And this had been going on for about 10 hours. They were under the impression that our son was in grave danger because of meconium. Nonetheless, baby comes out lifeless. I had been present for my older daughter's labor and delivery, and so I knew what a normal delivery looked like. This was not one. Evan came out colorless, motionless, not crying at all. He's got these beautiful blue-green eyes that are kind of yellow-brown. He had little to no life in him at all. She immediately cut the umbilical cord and whisked Evan off to the pediatrician, and my wife had no idea what was going on because she was in labor for so long, she was exhausted. I excused myself. I said, "I'm going to go check on the baby." I went to the doctor and said, "Doctor, give it to me straight. What's going on?" He says, "We don't know." And I said, "Well, what are the choices?" He says, "Well, the option is that he could die." I said, "That's not an option. What else do you have?" He said, "Well, it depends on how much meconium he aspirated, but he could be here for several weeks." I said, "What's the plan?" And he said, "The plan is we're going to take him up into the NICU. We'll work on him. We'll call you in a few hours and give you a progress report. You go upstairs and get your wife settled." And I said, "Before we do that, I would like her to hold him for just a moment, thinking that maybe this is as much life as she's going to see in him." He says, "Do it quickly." So I took my son, Evan, and as I was walking to my wife, I thought, I'm a chiropractor. I should probably check his spine and nerve system. So I did, and I palpated his upper cervical spine, his first bone in his neck, his atlas was way out of position. I gently adjusted as we're taught to do. Had my wife hold him for a little bit, gave him back to the doctor, up they went to the NICU, and I got my wife settled in her room, and after about 45 minutes, I said, "I'm gonna go check on the baby." So I went to the NICU. It's set up where there's a window that you can look through the hallway. There's an airlock anteroom, and I could see into the NICU. In the very far end of the NICU, the doctor and the nurse were standing at the foot of the bassinet, not doing anything. And my first thought is, he died. I busted through, no gloves, no mask, no gown. I busted through, got into the room. As I was approaching the bassinet, I could hear crying louder and louder and louder with each step as I neared it. And I look, and there's my son Evan crying, fussing like you wouldn't believe. I said, "Doctor, what happened?" He says, "We don't know." But his APGAR score, which is a scale that they rate babies on, is 9 plus. You can hear him breathing, you can hear him crying, you can see his skin is completely perfused with blood. You can take him. So I grabbed my son Evan and was so happy to go see my wife. And as I was walking out of that NICU, I thought to myself, what if the only reason I went to chiropractic college, 3.5 years of intense education, 45 plus 100 hours of in classroom, equal amount of studying, what if I went to college just to deliver that one adjustment? And I'm convinced that that one adjustment is what turned my son's future around. He now is almost 16 years old. He is a straight A student. He's an athlete. He's very involved in his school community. He's a great kid, and I believe that chiropractic is what helped him to survive a very traumatic delivery. Chiropractic is not just about headaches, back pain, neck pain, sciatica. It's about life and optimizing it. That's my story. I hope you enjoy it.